Howdy folks, another week, another Monday, another episode of Mingles with Jingles. As always, advert free thanks to the people that support me on Patreon. Thank you very much indeed. As you can see, still not entirely happy with the intro to Mingles with Jingles, so I'm just changing them around a bit until I settle on something. Got a couple of ideas in the works. This one at least has the benefit of being slightly shorter. It's been a pretty good week. Managed to finish Subnautica. I spent... Because when you go to pick a save game to load, it tells you exactly how much time has been spent playing that save. And in order to complete the game, and I definitely didn't do it in the most optimal way, there were certain mistakes that I made that probably cost me a couple of hours of playing time. Some of those mistakes are definitely going to make for some pretty hilarious video moments on YouTube, but around about 48 hours of playtime sunk into completing that game. I could have done it faster if I'd known exactly what I was doing, but, well, that's part of the fun, isn't it? And as long as you learn from the mistakes are never time wasted. So, yeah, finally completed Subnautica. So, yeah, Subnautica complete. One of the best games I've ever played. It's right up there with Planescape Torment, Baldur's Gate 2, The Secret of Monkey Island, the first Mass Effect game. I really do rate it that highly. And with 48 hours of gameplay to edit down into video footage, although clearly there isn't going to be 48 hours of video, there's a lot of, boring bits to skip out, lots of travelling between here and there and just scavenging for resources that I can edit out and just show you the good bits. But there's more than enough material for me to keep the Subnautica video series going for a good long time. And of course the good news for all the Lone Echo fans is now that I've completed Subnautica, I'm free to start playing Lone Echo again. Although, before I make that kind of promise, I should probably make sure that the save game... because I haven't actually tested it yet. But I should probably make sure that the save file that I have for it to carry on from where I left off actually works. Speaking of which, Subnautica is playable in VR. But I don't recommend it. It's much, much harder to play in virtual reality. It's an amazing experience, of course, as most things are in VR. And if you do have a VR setup, I do recommend you at least try to launch the game in VR mode and just have a go swimming around. Because it's an amazing experience, but it makes it harder to play. I may actually start streaming Subnautica, start again from the very beginning, but this time do it on survival mode, where you have to worry about food and water as well, because it is a huge part of the game. Trying not to give any spoilers here, but certain parts of the game where I spent a lot of time lost 1.5 kilometers down in the lava zones, if I had to worry about not dying of thirst and hunger as well, I probably would have died a few times. So yeah, it's going to be much, much more challenging if you play it on survival mode, where not only do you have to worry about pressure, oxygen, power and all that sort of thing, you also have to worry about thirst and hunger. So I might try that for a live stream. Well, anyway, moving on. I wanted to read out some of the messages that you guys have sent me over the course of the last week. This first one comes from one of my Patreon supporters, James Barrett, who messaged me on Patreon with a very generous offer. James has managed to get his hands on a first edition copy of a book entitled Battleships and Battlecruisers, 1905 to 1970, Historical Development of the Capital Ships by Siegfried Breyer. And he wants to gift it to me as one of my Patreon supporters. He thinks that I'd enjoy it, especially given the very heavy German bias that is evident in the author's work, and if nothing else, he thought I'd get a good chuckle out of the cruiser and battleship comparisons that, according to the author of the book, prove the undoubted superiority of German warships. The reason I'm reading this one out is because, well, I get a lot of messages like this. And this certainly isn't the first time that I've addressed this issue. But apparently I do need to address it again. It has been suggested before that I organise some kind of PO box so that people who want to send things to me can send things to me. And on the surface it seems like a great idea. It's also been suggested that I could do unboxing videos where I'm opening the mail and showing off all of the things that you guys send in to me. Well, I've watched some of the unboxing videos that people have done on YouTube where their subscribers have sent stuff into them, and I know what you little monkeys are like. If I was going to do mail opening videos and give you lot the opportunity to see my reaction when I see some of the things that you guys send me, let's just say I don't want to encourage. Because if you watch some of these unboxing videos on YouTube, some of the things that people get sent, specifically designed to provoke a reaction, of course, yeah, we're not going to be doing any of that. The second thing is the sheer volume of stuff that would get sent to me, even if I wasn't opening the mail, well, not live obviously, but recording the opening of the mail. Even if I wasn't doing that, the sheer volume of stuff that would get sent to me would be overwhelming. I know this to be true. When I go to an event like Tankfest, I have to take at least one extra suitcase along just to take home all of the stuff that you guys bring me, whether that's stroopwafels from the Netherlands, which always seems to be a popular choice, Inniskillen ice wine from Canada, or even parts of tanks and complete belts of 50 caliber ammunition. I mean, again, you know, this is a first world problem. It's certainly not something that I'm complaining about, but you guys are very, very generous. And if I was to open up a PO box address for you to send stuff in to me, I just wouldn't have anywhere to put everything that would get sent in. So James and everybody else who has inquired as to whether or not I do actually have a postal address so that they can send things to me, thank you very much for your generosity, but seriously, if you've got some nice stuff, keep it, because I just wouldn't have anywhere to put it, and I would really struggle to handle the volume of mail that it would generate. But you know, your generosity is very, very much appreciated. Thank you. The second message that I got this week that I wanted to talk about was from Tony Kiberus. Tony, I do apologise if I'm mispronouncing your surname, but I've no idea how to say it. It's Kiberus? Oh, whatever. I'm not going to call you Dave, though. Anyway, Tony sent me a bunch of links, and I'll put some of them down below in the video description. He's found links to hundreds of US Navy manuals. Fascinating reading. Everything from ship camo plans, training and operations manuals for all departments of a warship. There's even one here called How to Abandon Ship. Seriously, there is some fascinating reading here, and I've spent hours browsing through the various different links. They've even got the US Navy cookbook from World War II. We used to always say in the Royal Navy that the cook's course in the Navy was probably the hardest course in the Navy to pass, because judging by the quality of the food that got produced, nobody had ever passed it. But yeah, this was a fascinating link, Tony. Thank you very much for sending this in. And again, I'll put the links down below in the video description so you can browse through all the various different manuals and documents that Tony's just given me access to. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, moving on to gaming news. Did anybody else catch the announcement that microtransactions, loot boxes, are coming back to Star Wars Battlefront 2? Yeah. And apparently the reason given for this was that sales of Star Wars Battlefront 2 hadn't met expectations. They've only managed to shift something like 7 million copies of the game. So, yeah. Poor old Electronic Arts. They've only made $500 million out of Star Wars Battlefront 2. They can't possibly manage. So loot boxes and microtransactions are coming back in the very, very near future. The thing is, I don't really have a problem with the whole concept of loot boxes and microtransactions. You've got loot boxes and microtransactions in World of Tanks and World of Warships. But there's a really big difference between something like Star Wars Battlefront 2 and games like World of Tanks and World of Warships. World of Tanks and World of Warships are free-to-play games. War Thunder is a free-to-play game. Loot boxes, microtransactions, they're how developers and publishers of free-to-play games monetize their games. That's how they earn enough money to continue supporting and developing their free-to-play games. If, like me, you were dumb enough to buy a copy of Star Wars Battlefront 2, it cost you a minimum of $60. This is a full-price AAA game title. It's not a free-to-play game. Loot boxes and microtransactions have no place existing in a full-price video game. And it wouldn't be quite so bad if the items that you receive from these loot crates were purely cosmetic, in the same way that Overwatch handles it. I mean, there's an entirely different argument to be made about just exactly how good or bad that is, but we'll deal with that some other time. The point is, when you're playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, the stuff that you get inside these loot crates very definitely does have a major impact on how well you're able to play the game. Your starfighters have more health, your shields regenerate faster, your weapons recharge faster. They have a major effect on your chances of actually beating an opponent in multiplayer combat. Here's the thing, when you do get killed by another player in multiplayer combat in Star Wars Battlefront 2, you get the kill cam, which isn't anything new, of course. All kinds of games give you a kill cam, and this is a good thing. The kill cam shows you how you got killed, and you can learn from that. But what the Star Wars Battlefront 2 kill cam does is it doesn't just show you who killed you and where from and how they got the drop on you, it also shows you exactly what upgrades they have. So why would they do that? Because Electronic Arts aren't stupid, right? They do everything for a reason. Why would they deliberately, in the kill cam shot, when they're showing you the player that got the drop on you, why would they deliberately show you the level of upgrades that that player had? Is it to perhaps rub your nose in the fact that this other player has better upgrades than you do? I mean, he's not always going to have better upgrades than you do, but let's just go with a, for example, let's say you do get killed, and in the kill cam shot it shows you that you're killed by a player who has epic ranked upgrades in every slot. Are you going to think to yourself, GG, well played, or are you going to think, god damn, pay to win, try hard scumbag? Because let's be honest here, most of us, and it's an entirely human reaction, are going to think, god damn, pay to win, try hard scumbag. And how do you react to that? If this keeps happening, if you're constantly getting ruffle stomped by people whose ships and characters are just better than yours in every respect because they've paid for loot crates, they've paid to win, are you going to continue playing without spending money on loot crates and continuing to get ruffle stomped, or are you going to just quit playing in disgust, or are you going to spend a couple of dollars on trying to level the playing field? Well, the evidence would suggest that most people are going to put their hands in their pockets and join the pay-to-win arms race. Well, perhaps not most people. I mean, I certainly don't have figures. But I know that enough people do it, that the system becomes ludicrously profitable for the publisher. How do you know that, Jingles? Because the system exists. I mean, they wouldn't be doing it if they weren't earning ridiculous amounts of money out of it. The fact that the whole loot crate controversy in Star Wars Battlefront 2 generated so much negative publicity for Electronic Arts, their stock price took a hit, their shareholders were not happy. Mainstream media, not just the gaming news, mainstream media picked up on this. Wall Street started having things to say about this. Politicians and lawmakers got involved. All of that negative publicity directly tied to the backlash from the gamers over the loot crates in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And despite all of that, they're putting them back in. And they're going back in because Star Wars Battlefront 2 only made $500 million. Yes, really. Oh, those poor little snowflakes at Electronic Arts. How can they possibly manage on $500 million? Yeah, Jingles, that's not $500 million profit. That's just sales. You have to take into account how much it costs to develop the game and pay the developers and pay for the marketing and blah blah and so on and stuff. Yeah, but come on, $500 million, really? If $500 million isn't enough, if that is so little money that they're forced to put the microtransactions back in, just how profitable are microtransactions really? Wargaming don't seem to be doing too badly. Their games are entirely funded by microtransactions. Of course they are. They're free-to-play games. Despite that, Wargaming CEO Victor Kisley, he's a billionaire now. It really is just ridiculous how much money the whole free-to-play model makes. And I don't have a problem with that, providing it's applied to free-to-play games. That's, the clue's in the title, the free-to-play model. But it's when greedy, money-grabbing arseholes like Electronic Arts, like Activision, start pumping this kind of toxic shit into full-price games that I really start to get mad. Still, they're not all like that. At least we can look to one publisher in particular as a shining example of honesty and integrity in the AAA gaming publishing business. Ubisoft, yes, I'm talking about you. Ubisoft, who famously and publicly announced that there would never be loot crates in Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Do it!
Oh, right. Yeah, Ubisoft can go and take a flying fuck at a rolling donut as well. And just when you thought things weren't bad enough, have you heard what's happening to small channels on YouTube this month? Now, this isn't going to affect me, but it's potentially going to affect a lot of you. And if it is, you probably already know about it. But for those of you that don't have your own YouTube channel and you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, YouTube have just decided that if you don't have at least 1,000 subscribers, and if you don't have at least 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 12 months, well, they really can't be bothered with your YouTube channel. This doesn't mean YouTube are actually shutting channels down or anything. It's not quite that bad. Anybody who fails to meet those requirements is still entirely welcome to upload videos to YouTube as and when they please. But what it does mean is that you're not going to be able to apply for and be accepted as a YouTube partner, which means you're not going to be able to monetize any of your videos. And while the amount of ad revenue generated by a small channel that doesn't have at least 1,000 subscribers or at least 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 12 months is certainly going to be trivial as far as YouTube are concerned, it's not trivial for the hundreds of thousands of people that use YouTube with small channels as a means of supplementing their monthly income. Unfortunately for them, YouTube have decided that the cost of managing and paying the ad revenue to these hundreds of thousands of small channels is just, it's no longer economically viable for them. And so as of the 20th of February this month, it's going to stop. If you currently have a YouTube partnership but your channel doesn't have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours or more of watch time in the last 12 months, as of the 20th of February, your YouTube partnership will be removed. Don't really know what to say about this. I mean, obviously I appreciate that. Well, a number of you messaged me about this, and if you hadn't, I wouldn't have noticed because, well, like I said, this doesn't affect me personally. I mean, nearly 600,000 subscribers and tens of millions of minutes of video watched every month. YouTube didn't message me about this because it's not going to affect me. But it is going to affect a lot of you, judging by the amount of emails I've received about it. On the one hand, YouTube isn't a charity. If it's costing them more to administer the payment of these ad revenues for tiny channels than they're actually making from it, then, well, you have to expect them to stop doing it. On the other hand, if the small amount of money that you are making from your small YouTube channel is supplementing your monthly income, well, this is obviously going to be a huge blow. You have my sympathies, but I certainly don't have any solutions for you. If you do run a small YouTube channel that is growing, but obviously isn't growing fast enough to meet the requirements by the cutoff date on the 20th of February, my only recommendation would be to just don't give up, keep doing it. Eventually you will pass the threshold, you will reach 1,000 subscribers, you will reach 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 12 months. At that point, reapply for partnership and have your videos remonetized. If, on the other hand, you have a small YouTube channel with less than 1,000 subscribers and less than 4,000 hours of watch time in the last 12 months and your channel is not growing, you, my friend, are, well, kind of screwed. You see, here's the thing. If it's meant to happen, it will happen. I mean, when I started off, obviously at some point I had less than 1,000 subscribers. I had less than 4,000 hours of video watched in the last 12 months. I didn't start doing YouTube videos because I wanted to make a living out of it. I was incredibly lucky. It literally, for me, happened by accident. I wasn't doing videos because I wanted everybody to watch the videos. I was doing videos because I enjoyed making the videos. And I didn't care if I didn't have thousands of subscribers, and I didn't care if thousands of people didn't watch the videos. I was quite happy just doing my little thing, putting up videos. Hell, I used to do 2 or 3 videos a day when I first started doing it. I was loving it that much. The quality suffered, of course. Let's be honest here. My videos were crap. Some people may argue that they still are, and, well, they may have a point. But the point was I was doing it because I loved doing it, not because I expected to be paid for doing it. The videos came first. The work came first. Then the popularity. Then the monetization. And isn't that the way things are supposed to be? You put in the work and then you get paid for it? Or am I just being old-fashioned about this? I guess the point here is that if you want to have a YouTube partnership, if you want to have that 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 subscribers, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to actually love doing it enough that you'd be prepared to do it for free. Because if you love doing something enough that you're prepared to do it for free, as I was, then your passion and enthusiasm is going to show in your work. And that's what attracts subscribers. And if you're not passionate enough about it to do it for free, you probably were never going to make any kind of money out of your YouTube channel in the first place. And that may be a bit of a bummer. And because I don't want to end an episode of Mingles with Jingles on a bit of a bummer, I'm going to read out one final email that I received this week. This time from, and I do hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Benjamin Beckhofer from Germany, from Munich in Germany actually. And he had this to say: Dear Rear Admiral Jingles McJingleberry. Well, at least he got my name right. I was distraught to hear about your troubles with procuring a license for your Mingles with Jingles intro from Sony Classical Music. Unfortunately, I know why they did not get in touch with you, as they're currently occupied with their main avenue of income, which is highway robbery. Who says the Germans don't have a sense of humour? I quite enjoy the music you set your videos to. In fact, I got Heart of Oak stuck in my head, so much so that I sang it so often my 4-year-old son got to singing it. He is 4, we are German, and here he was on his way to kindergarten singing Hearts of Oak together with me. If that isn't funny, I don't know what is, but it gets even better. I recorded a bit of it for you. And I hereby give you official permission to use the song in any video should you desire to do so. Here it is in all its glory, part of the recurring verse of Heart of Oak, sung by my son, 4 years old, from Munich, Germany. You did this. And very proud of it I am too. And so we're going to be ending this week's episode of Mingles with Jingles with Benjamin's son singing the traditional Royal Naval song, Hearts of Oak. Take care, folks, and I'll catch you next time.
Gather ships, Janita, the woman, we are so ready. Steady, boys, steady. If I meant to conquer again and again, out the bow, gather ships, Janita's a woman, we are so ready. Steady, boys, steady.